This is Just in Case from American Newscape, joining our friends David and Priscilla Burke. We are here today to talk about figs, fig hunting, and their remarkable enterprise. Hello, David. Hello, Priscilla. Welcome to American Newscape.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, why don't you two get us started? What's happening in your worlds?
Spring has sprung again for the second time.
That's cool.
It's a little crazy around here. I'm living in a bunch of figs right now in my house.
Well, that's, for the people that have happened upon us that don't understand figomania or being a figaholic, David and I certainly have that in common. David is what I would call a master compared to my adolescence in being a fig propagator. And I would also like to warn the audience, if you find this interesting, if you send me an email, I will talk you out of going down this path, because you will say things like, I'm a figaholic, and this is one of the most interesting plants I have ever come across. The propagation of them, it's my grandmother used to tell me when I was a Chicago Cubs fan back in the 70s and 80s, she would say, one thing to be a Chicago Cubs fan, they will always break your heart. And figs have the capacity to do that too. I mean, we have so much vested time and passion into these, what we call sticks. We're excited to have David and Priscilla here to talk about their perspective on figs and what they're doing in the fig industry. So, that being said, why don't you take me down that path, David?
Well, currently we're doing a lot of grafting. Um, this is what Priscilla talks about. I bring them in, put them in a bag. She insists on the bag, which makes sense. You can see why. And we put other bits of figs onto our rootstock.
I think he wants to know more than this, more than anything.
Oh, why we're doing this more than anything? Well, that's a. I was a child on a ranch with a horse, and there were fig trees. Fig trees where you could ride up to a natural spring in the bedrock. Nobody would plant there. And I'd pick figs and I'd throw them in my saddlebag and I'd ride along and eat them or bring them back to the family. It was a wonderful memory. Fast forward, what was about 30, 36 was when I guess we started bringing them. Local farmers market, there were some figs, shared them with the family. And my kids just said, wow, how do we grow them?
And well, we've always been into growing things. We have swine and birds, and we do a vegetable garden every year, so it was just kind of a natural progression to why not put some fruit trees in too.
And that was a mistake. The first trees I planted were on the backside of a hill, and let's say the saying that I did not have much forethought in the location. Yeah,
That was a steep hill. It was a steep hill.
So, and that kind of
So we dug those back out, but yeah.
We talk about these figs, and there's a camaraderie between fig growers, and there's some huge groups on Facebook, and they're there to help, and that's how I met David. And what amazes me about these plants is just the challenge that they can present. And you talk about grafting. That's a skill I don't. Well, let's say I believe I have that skill, but I've never been successful with it. We talk about air layering. We talk about fig people will talk about sticks. We send sticks to each other around the country, which are basically barewood cuttings of these plants, and our friends and fellow fig people get them going in other parts of the country. And the other thing about figs is they'll grow in just about every part of the world because there's so many different varieties.
That's right.
That's true. And even in bare rocks.
Yeah, yeah. All soil forms, all climates. My figs have to endure extreme temperatures. There's people growing figs in the Northeast. There's passionate fig growers that protect, outdoor trees from frost where they shouldn't even be able to grow those varieties there. It's just a real cool hobby. It's a real cool pursuit. David, how many different varieties are you currently working with?
Our own personal, our own personal stuff that we have searched out and found. As of today, we have 1,685 locations. We just added
Added one to them. Yeah.
two this last week.
Well, that's
But as figs in general, I don't know.
you don't
How
know.
many trees,
U.S. time.
different varieties. People send us varieties. We
Yeah,
need to.
we've been gifted a lot of common varieties that are kind of I don't know what you would say, like the
Air heritage, the heirloom,
yeah.
the ones that well, like we just currently, let me think here, UC Davis ones.
Yeah, we have
We
them.
have the GM 125. Somebody just said, we want you to try this. So okay, they sent us some cuttings. They're out there in the collection. I hopefully this year we'll get to taste it for the first time.
Well, and then we also have all of the common varieties that you can buy at a like nursery. Like we grow those too. So
I can remember Panache, which they also goes by the tiger striped fig. Beautiful strawberry taste inside. It likes the warmer temperatures. So if you're in a warm, long season climate, it's great for you.
it grows great here. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And the kids. So back to, I guess one thing is this is a family pursuit. Well, yes, I love adding new things, and I'm a collector. I love sharing them with my girls, my wife. I love them enjoying different figs, and they like the striped ones. I tell you that much. I think they're cool. Candy cane is what they call, and that's fun as a father.
Well, and you enjoy sharing with other people that have these like interests, David.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
One thing, okay, people talk about the fig hunter, and this is something that fascinates me. Where I live, you could have a safari for figs that would last upwards to 5 or 6 minutes because there's just not that many figs down here. But where you are and what your fig hunting pursuits, what's that all about?
Well, after finding out that my family loved figs, and it reliving that childhood memory, even Priscilla and the kids, one of the old photos albums they found, which up until then I never would have thought it was interesting. It was just me on my horse, but it's me on my horse in front of the fig tree one of the fig trees that we grew up in, inside, meaning that it was our tree fort as a child. That I started looking for them, and I started finding them. And my first one started in the Bay Area, and started working my way north as I was driving home from working on refineries, and just started putting dots on the map because I was working in this at a time of year that I thought I'd find the fruit, and then I was marking it for the time when the fruit would become ripe. Pretty soon, that first year, we got close to what, 600.
600. Yeah. What you have to understand about David is he's got this sense of when he puts his mind to wanting to seek things out and find them, he's very good at it. So it used to be old town wagons, and he can still find those, like, but he doesn't look for them as much per se. Like they're not in the forefront of his mind as figs are right now. So if he wants to find a fig, he will find it.
So it's almost like
And traveling,
it's like his supernatural figgy sense, right?
Yeah.
been accused of it. So,
I can remember the first time he found something down in the LA area. He was like, "Oh, let's make a right down this." We were in the middle of, I don't know, some town down there that I've never been to, but he's like, "Let's go down this road." And oh, I think there's one behind that house in that alley. And so we figured out how to get around there. And sure enough, there's one that's like growing up the side of this like wall. And yeah.
and we found it as a family, so call that the family fig. The first, which she's described, the adventure she was describing, I call them adventures of stumbling. I first mistaken a grape leaf for a fig leaf. So driving down the front of the house, what I thought was a fig tree was actually a grape tree, and it wasn't until I got out of the car and inspected that I saw the fig tree growing through the chain link fence, and it wasn't very big, in between two buildings, two garages. So this little, and that was the prize, and that was the female. That was, what can I say? I mean, really off and running, hooked.
That was a long trip.
We came home with a lot of fig cuttings down there, and on the way down, on the way up, and working on construction sites throughout California. After work, you're in a hotel. I have to have something to do. I am an outdoors person, and turning on TV really isn't my go-to. So driving around, checking out new spots to eat food, because food's important, and finding figs so I can share at work or bring the cuttings or the fruit home to my family. I'd say it's close to an obsession,
Well,
Yeah,
it's
but a positive one. Food. I mean, food obsession. I
yeah,
guess.
it's we are figaholics. There's no rhyme nor reason to our passion for these plants, but they are captivating. I mean, they can get in your blood, and when I think about where I am in the hobby and where you are, you're on this grand summit of being able to spend as much time with your, we'll call them sticks, and propagating new plants, and commercially harvesting figs. It's just really cool. It is really cool, and let me swing back around. I want to remind people, don't go down this path. Don't contact David about getting started in the fig hobby unless you're prepared to get addicted to it like we are. And you will. And you're going to meet a lot of really cool people.
Oh, I think the hook too is seeing the like when you start seeing that first bud popping off of that stick that you've just put in dirt and realizing like that you've been successful at taking this stick and turning it into something else. So
So they're easy to grow. I think growing an apple from a seed, it takes close to 6 years before you'll ever bear fruit. With the right climate, the right fertilization, and the right cutting, you could see fruit the same year that you plant that cutting.
mhm.
At the very least, you'll see it the second season. And once in the right climate, they're ever bearing. You could have figs all year round. Well, unfortunately, mostly that right climate would be 10A, 10B, Southern California, Florida. It's still, or heated greenhouses. It's just amazing. And they're easy. They're just so easy to grow. and you'll have this beautiful tree that started from a stick. Like this one right here. I mean, it really took off this year. It was a cutting in just a pot, 3 inches, 3 inches wide, 8 inches long, and you can see how gosh, I'm close, a little over 2 feet,
Hmm.
and it's still growing.
And it will
And
become
they're
a
easy to share.
yeah, and it will become a tree.
Hmm.
Or a bush. I mean, you can shape these things into hedges, whatever you want to do. And we talk about growing apples from seeds. The beauty of that is you have no clue what kind of apple you're going to end up with.
Right.
90%
Right.
of those seeds will
Exactly.
turn into, original rootstock crab apples, and then a few of them will turn into apples that might be edible. So, and that's a good example, for apple growers that are growing from seeds. They're punished like we are at times, not knowing necessarily what we are growing. And there's, let me, I can keep digressing, which I need to not do, but you guys have generated something. It's a subscription service, and for people that have some fig development skills, I think they're going to really be interested in this because it makes sense to me. I don't have to make decisions. You can help make those decisions for me. Let's talk about what that subscription service is all about.
Well, um,
Well, it's listed on our website, and you sign up for it, and you'll get, based on whether it's the basic or the premium subscription, you'll get cuttings every month that we've chosen from our specific fig hunter collection, um, to try out and try growing them. And I mean, and then you'll get some cool coupon codes and uh, first dibs on, when I have rooted stock available. You'll email and let you know what's available. So if you're interested in it, you can always purchase it directly.
Well, that would actually enhance my skills a bit because I wouldn't be stressing over what decisions to make. You'd be sending me the cuttings. And then the other thing
Right.
I want to tell people, if you go to youtube.com and go to youtube.com the fig hunter, you're going to see lots of tips, and it's almost like you guys are there to mentor me on becoming a better propagator of figs. So there's lots of videos on how to do these cuttings. I haven't even seen all of your videos, but have you touched on air layering for people yet? Or
yes,
We've done air layering. We've done quick grafting lesson. We've done.
graft, which is shown right here. Really easy, really fast. Um, so simple that I could do it, and it took off. You can see, or the chip bud. That's what, it's just.
Well, and there's potting in cups. And then there's our girls, like just direct potting into some 1 gallon pots of dirt, and what takes, and what doesn't. I mean, because sometimes we end up with an excess of cuttings, and
And we're propagating for our ranch. So that's, I mean, the main story this all boils down to is we were propagating for ourselves to grow, and then realized that there was such a joy for sharing with everybody else. And my family, I grew up on both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. You come into the house, we feed you. Well,
yeah,
unfortunately, the world, we can't feed you. I wish we could, but we can send you a stick that in less than a few years can feed your family something. Figs, they have a very high level of, well, pectin in it, and you can dry them out in the sun. And they're very homestead, urban homestead, con- uh, preservationists. Sorry,
I mean,
I'm rambling here.
they lend themselves well to being able to keep them for an extended period of time. If you can can them, you can jam them, you can dry them, you can do a lot of things other than just eat the fresh figs. And They make a great hedgerow too, so it's kind of like
Very. That half wine barrel, we have a couple figs in there that we want to keep small because just they're beautiful to look at. That Mediterranean vibe. And not to touch on things that are happening in the world a little bit, but we've all gone through the pandemic, and at the forethought or the
forefront.
forefront of our thoughts is, hey, what if? We're lucky that we homestead and we grow and supply a good significant amount of our food, but being able to preserve that food, dried figs, they're a great snack, healthy.
And if you, my almost 6-year-old likes to steal them from the cupboard and take them to school and pass them around. She even tried taking a couple jars of jam.
And that's
Okay,
something, while we can't bring it to our table, we can send that to your table.
that's cool. All right, now Priscilla, what's your secret favorite way way to use figs?
I mean, I have found I really like, and you can buy them on the website, but the honey balsamic figs. So they're we dry the figs out, and then I'll do a honey balsamic reduction and can them in it. It's basically it's kind of like a sweet pickling of the figs.
With your own special recipe.
Yeah.
She got the magic touch.
No, I understand. No, and you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to share the secret recipe. But
Oh,
how do you
the
use
secret
it?
recipe that I always say is her love, her
Yeah.
dedication to quality, and it really, that is
Well,
Priscilla's secret, is just
what's
she's Priscilla.
it's a friend of mine's wife years ago made the best blueberry bran muffins in the history of the world. They were by far the best, and she spent hours teaching me how to make those muffins. Hours. She would stand there, and as long as she touched the process, they turned out. But if she wasn't in the room, they just turned out like brand blueberry muffins. So you're right. It's a gift. So Priscilla's been gifted the secret balsamic-y, vinegary, pickled concoction. How do you use it, Priscilla?
You just eat them straight. Well, okay, so it's a twofer actually, if you really want to. But you eat the figs just straight from the jar, and then you can save the reduction that they're in, and you can actually use that as a salad dressing. It works out, or a sauce.
Cool.
Cooking. I mean, she chopped them up. We did Brussels sprouts,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that's a childish dish that I did not like. And we went to a restaurant and we saw it on the menu, tried it out. It was awesome. It had pecans
Mm-hmm.
and the honey balsamic. So she comes home, and I think maybe 2 weeks later, she surprised me. She took her recipe of honey balsamic figs, used the sauce, and then chopped up the figs and added them as a garnish to those Brussels sprouts. And I think that was, to date, the best ones I've had. They're really, you got to make sure they crisp, really, really crispy though, because they're French
Yeah.
fries.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So we talked about the club. You have merchandise available. You've got a
We do.
store. Talk about that.
But we're wearing some of our shirts. I love pink. I've got 3 daughters and 1 son, and I love pink. I've got 3 daughters and a wife. I'm surrounded by pink.
I
Pink
don't
is,
like pink though. That's why I have
and
charcoal.
we've got hats. And she got the gray. So even if you can't grow figs, like our friend Mr. Case here, you can still support us by sporting some cool gear. Really clean. We work with a local business, so it's a local shop. It's supporting the community, but their quality is just amazing. They're very nice, you know.
And he's super helpful. Like, I can't say enough good things. That's promotional images. Jason is awesome, and he basically, I made last minute changes, and he just didn't even sweat it. And
Pink ones are pretty cool too. Very, what the camera might not show is how clean the stitching is. It really pops. Maybe on the black and white one, it might show a little bit better. And of course, the T-shirts that we're wearing ourselves. And then let me get up here, show you what the back of these shirts are. There's one other color of pink. It's a lighter pink, such as the hat. We have some of those made, and they're being ordered. But it's just kind of the Fig Hunter Club. And what is the club? I think. Moving the wrong way. The club. What does it take to be part of the club?
I know. You have to find a fig, and you have to go knock on a door, and you say, "Hi, my name is Justin. I'm addicted to figs, and could I please have a cutting off of your plant?"
that's a great way to start.
That's a great way to start. But this might, Justin might remember the 90s when country music was very popular and there were some great singers. And my wife laughs because, yeah, she thinks I am a nerd. I'm a nerd. I'm okay. I like, I,
You found comfort in
It's
your
the-
nerdism.
yes, I am fine with it. But we're listening and the song popped on the popular radio and it was "I'm a member of a country club," and so I started singing with my kids in the background. But I was replacing the words instead of country club. I'm a member of a fig hunting club. Fig hunting's what I love. And she goes, "God, you're weird." And then it hit. I said, "Hey, but I love sharing." And so we started using join the club, like saying join the family. You love figs, join our family. Join the fig family in general. Um, so that's what the club is. It's more of just saying support. It's cool. You are a fig lover, whether it's in the food, lover of just nature, trees. One day we will make the world green with figs. Is the
What?
goal.
That's, anybody looking for a hobby where they're actually accomplishing something, I think it's a perfect fit. But, and I know I'm redundant, but I warn these people, you start talking and chatting with fig lovers, you're going to become a fig-aholic as well as we are. And that we have no meetings. We don't get together and stand up and give testimony that we're figaholics, but it is a lot of fun. And
Well,
David,
sometimes we do, though.
We do have a meeting. We have a meeting. We sponsor a meeting twice a year. The wintertime, we
yeah,
sponsor a meeting. And then in the summertime, you come back and we'll actually give you some of the fruit so you can understand how bad you are addicted and prepare yourself for the winter event. And this is in Northern California. It's called the Northern California Fig Exchange. The last couple times we've done it in Winters, California, at a nice food place and outdoors. So it's very safe no matter what. We can stay as far apart as possible with big green areas and restrooms are on hand.
And a restaurant, so
Yeah,
works
that
Well-
has a nice brewery.
but
We're still working on the fig aspect of that list.
it's family fun. You can bring your kids, you can bring your grandkids,
Oh, yeah.
you can bring
Oh, yeah.
your grandparents. It sounds exciting, and all that information is available on your website, correct?
Yes. Or Facebook page, The Fig Hunter.
Yeah, or YouTube, and they are. And I was impressed with what they've accomplished. It's not easy to be technically proficient living in rural America,
new.
but Priscilla's done a wonderful job with the website, and I'm sure David must do good things somewhere because he's well thought of. He's respected in the fig community.
I'm good at keeping the rattlesnakes away from Priscilla when we go out. And, collecting all the stickers and all the thistles, yeah. But that
Okay.
brings a wonderful point. I'd have to. You said family fun. My inspiration is sitting next to me. My wife and my daughters. Without their support, without their love for this, I would probably be still into town wagons. But you can't eat a town wagon.
No, you can
She's
admire
an
it.
awesome cook. She's a great cook. I mean, the smile, because I just am smiling because I'm thinking of just how special the way the world is right now. It's every morning I wake up and I can just it's wonderful.
Well, you're blessed. You both are blessed. You live in a great part of the country, and you're accomplishing something.
Well, and I think for me as a parent, it's the best thing I get out of it is that my kids know where their food comes from. Because there are some kids nowadays who don't understand that no, it doesn't just automatically show up in the grocery store. Like somebody has to grow it.
They like to get their hands in the dirt. From my almost 6-year-old down to my 3-year-old, who've been this is what they've known their entire life now. I can have memories of them helping when they first started. At 6 months old, helping plant a stick
I have
in
pictures
dirt.
of it.
And I'll run over and get you everybody so they can see how easy it is. But then sometimes they would pull the sticks out of the dirt.
Well, yeah.
It's 11:40 p.m. and the sun's out. We were just told.
Apparently, Alexa needed to let us know that. No, but I mean, I guess that's the fun part is that my kids enjoy it, and you know,
Well, they're passionate
it's
about
kind of
it
a
as
cool
well.
childhood for them.
Well,
Oh yeah,
passionate.
my we'll be in the car and they'll point out figs as we're driving down the road. So
Okay. All righty. Well, I assume we're waiting for David to get back.
yeah, he wants to show you basically how my kids actually know. I don't even have to show them anymore. They just know how to do it. 2-year-old doing them. We actually have a video where she just all of a sudden in the middle of labeling cuttings decided that she wanted to start planting them, and so she started filling up the depots and stuffing sticks in them. Like,
So I want to make sure nobody here wants to start this hobby because
Yeah.
it's so easy. I say it's so easy. Justin said it was so, you know, nobody.
Challenging.
We don't want you to start this hobby.
No, they just have
We
to be
took a
prepared.
stick and a bag, damp bag, little bit paper towel, seal it up, and forget about it for a little while. What's a little while? Well, not 2 days. I think it's been about a week.
yeah, those have been sitting there about a week.
Somewhere warm spot. If it starts molding,
Throw it away.
and figs, they'll grow where they decide to put roots out. It's crazy because in this one, where I want them to put roots, was out, but that's that. Instead, these little white dots here are where they're going to put out roots. And then, this
Got some down here at the bottom.
usually, you could even take a bag of dirt and just put that in the bag of dirt. This is one method. I mean, we like to use these things. They're called tree pots or deep pots. They're easy, but this is really. You just cover that with dirt. You would roll it up and forget about it for a little while. Make sure the soil's not super wet, or
Damp, but not soaking.
you just put this in dirt and forget about it. Nature has its own method. By that I mean, I can think of all the times I've worried and caretaked. It's like being a dad. I remember the first time I was a father, Kayla was about to be born. I was talking to my neighbor. I literally had read and looked up, and I bring up Kayla because I wanted to share this photo with her. Everything that I could read. I think Priscilla was tired of me talking about parenting and the things that I've could make, the mistakes I could make, because this is my first time as a father from day one, and that's the same thing with figs. But holding this little girl for the first time, and I'm sharing the magazine because even though the link's in there, you will not see this picture of that little girl. This little girl, for the first time as a baby, it all made sense, and nature took its course. So when it comes to figs, sometimes you just got to forget about them. And don't overwater, don't underwater. They're going to grow. And that's amazing. I mean, that's just wow. It just blows me away.
When,
I'm
and
a
it,
little stick.
everybody, David just snuck in. They've just recently been written up in the Smithsonian magazine.
Oh, sorry.
He's so subtle.
I was trying to throw a photo of my beautiful daughter.
Great
But you,
segue.
yeah. So let's talk about this Smithsonian article, which we can all find online.
Yes.
It's just I still I'm. They've got some amazing pictures of our children, father. But they came out and they
Well,
interviewed us about it.
I guess the to start the story on that is we got this crazy email like in the middle of summer a couple of years back, and it was the writer. He was actually his thesis for his graduate degree, and
He wanted to take a ride along. He wanted to go on a fig hunt.
yeah, he just wanted to like he was specifically looking at the fig wasp for his thesis, and then we answered some questions for him and figured that that was kind of
Invited him down, like I do everybody in America, as long as you go through the security clearances. Hey, come hop in the truck, hop in the car, hop in whatever vehicle we've got. Let's go for a drive. It's going to blow your minds, and you'll probably come home with a heck of a life experience. And
But
Jacob did that.
yeah, he contacted us a couple months later, and he was like, "Hey, I pitched this idea to a magazine, and they liked it, and I want to take you up on that offer and see where it goes." And so he came down before Christmas in
Middle of the pandemic, which
yeah
was scary. I mean, I can tell you, with the world the way it was, middle of the pandemic, Christmas 20.
2020, yeah, and he hung out with us for a weekend, and
Stayed in our house. We fed him underneath. He sat at our table. So if you come visit us, you might end up at our table.
and then last August we had photographers come hang out with us, and actually didn't know what the article was going to say until we got our own copy about 2 weeks ago. And more than anything, I am in love with the photos of my kids from it. But it's cool for them because they get to go to school and say, "Hey, I'm in a magazine." So
No, show and tell, and it's
And
not.
that's something we do in school anyways. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Mr. Case.
No, not a problem, Mr. Burke. It's a big time magazine. It's the Smithsonian.
yeah, it's. I mean, it's. I am still amazed at how this family from the middle of nowhere, Red Bluff, ended up in the Smithsonian. But I mean, it's pretty cool. And like David was saying, what's cool for my kids is so they're in this magazine, and it's about story with figs, and then they actually we've done it for the last
3 years?
3 years. Yeah, we've done things with their classroom, so get to they get to plant them at school too and teach their friends about it, and hopefully their friends pass it on, and so on and so on. So
It's just, my wife said little Red Bluff. The most famous thing about Red Bluff previously was that we had the biggest, smallest rodeo. The biggest 2-day rodeo.
no, well, and it was the capital of California for a minute.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was. But I mean, in today's, and of course the bull and gelding. So us, I mean, I'm just a family, working class guy, homesteader. I don't understand it, but God works in amazing ways, and I'm just happy to have.
Be along for the ride.
Well, David, you paid your dues, Marine Corps to wearing, sporting pink shirts and loving your family. I said, I can't think of anything better. I really can't.
No, I can't think of anything better than waking up and, hearing their little voices or reading them a story, which is 20 years in the commercial construction industry as an operating engineer, as a pile driver. That isn't something I typically get. Usually it's long hours, hundreds of miles away from my family, sleeping in, when you're in the mountains and there's no hotels, we camped out to get the job done. This is definitely a reward, being able to wake up next to this beautiful woman.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
And I
you
get a
got-
little soppy. I'm sorry, Justin. I just, man, it is my inspiration. This is fantastic.
Well, there's no shame in
That's
that.
what's important.
Absolutely. So, hey, guys, I'd like you to promise to come back. Let's do another interview. I could talk to you all day, which isn't fair to you, but I've really appreciated this time now. What would you like to leave us with?
Well, we've got a little saying that's important to us. It's you find a fig, you'll make a friend. Go out there and you find something, or that you plant that fig, you'll make a friend forever. And since
We've made a lot of friends along the way.
it's really been it's the simplistic thing of, hey, you invest in the future with relationships. Gosh knows that this pandemic has really pushed those things. Here's a way to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And growing is healing. I can speak from my own trials and tribulations that there's nothing like growing something and relaxing, watering,
Well,
and having a beautiful woman cook you something or eat something or helping cook something as a family. It just
well,
thank you very much, Justin.
Hey, thank you guys. And I would echo his comment that there is therapy in that dirt. For those of us that love to play in the dirt, we just never got past it. And growing things is certainly playing in the dirt. So everybody, this has been Justin Case, David and Priscilla Burke, diving into the Fig Hunter. Thanks for joining us. Please remember additional information and links are provided in this video's read more. Please consider connecting with the Fig Hunter while subscribing to this channel.